everybody, welcome back. I am going to try something a little bit different today. I decided I really wanted to get into the CColor Cosmetics Feverish versus the Alter Ego Temptress palette. And these palettes are darn near identical by the looks of them. And now I've heard they perform very, very similarly. So I thought, what better time than right now to try to do a look with, this one's a CColor Cosmetics one, and the Alter Ego Temptress palette. And if I put them side by side, you can kind of see that they're almost the same size. The Temptress palette, this one looks a little bit bigger, and let's see if I can read any of the information on it here. 14 color eyeshadow palette, net weight 11.35 grams or 0.967 ounces in the Feverish palette. In the Alter Ego palette, we're looking at 18.5 grams and 0.653 ounces. Both of them look like they're made in the PRC, 12-month shelf life. Both of them are cruelty-free. So here's what I want to do. I want to try to do a look with both of them. Again, I'm not a makeup artist. I am a lady of a certain age. Normally when I do 3 looks with one palette, it gets a little long. And I'm Chatty Cathy, so it gets even longer sometimes. But this time I'm going to use the same brush on both, a little washcloth and brush cleaner. Yeah, and I'm going to use the same brushes. I'll clean them out in between the two. I don't have really any primer on my eyelids right now. I just have what kind of residual foundation, and actually even foundation's kind of almost too broad of a term. I use the IT Cosmetics Full Coverage Moisturizer. I'm gonna try to keep these on either side. I know some people like to do a high-end versus a dupe, make you guys guess to see which one is which. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna try to keep Feverish on my right side, which is your left side, and I'm going to keep the Alter Ego Temptress palette on my left side, which should be your right side. Hope that makes sense. I'm going to keep them like this. I'm going to keep them down in front of me, and I'll point out the colors as I go. The CColor Cosmetics palette is a cardboard palette, but it's got this weird kind of glitter texture on it, and it does have a mirror, which is kind of cool. The Temptress palette is more of a slick, hard cardboard, and it also has a mirror. What makes this one slightly more user-friendly maybe is there's actually names listed on here. So what I'm going to do is call them the same name on either side in case you have one palette or the other. Here I am being all quiet, and what I should be doing is just kind of talking you through. So there is 2 shades that are very similar when you look at them. But the one I'm using is this one over here, which in the Alter Ego palette is called Uptown. It does look like there's maybe slightly more kick up in the CColor Cosmetics one than there is in the Alter Ego palette. But I'm just using this taupe shade as kind of a transition shade. And what I think on first application, kind of looks like the CColor one might have slightly more pigment. I'm going to try to buff that down just a little bit. And again, I have hooded mature eyes, so you run into some challenges when you've got older eyes too. Sometimes if you swipe, you can get more skipping than if you just pat. So I'm kind of trying to use a combination of both. I'm not entirely convinced that the shades are exact dupes now that I look at them closely, but we'll just see how they look on the eyes. So I'm going into the darker brown one right now. And this one is called After Hours. So back on the Alter Ego side, Temptress side on my left side. Just kind of stippling that on, kind of where I want it to be. I just like to put the darkest color right up next to my eyelashes. And then kind of blend them up and into my crease, but just slightly below where I had the transition shade. It's a little bit odd for me to be talking through this because normally I just put the colors on and speed up through. I haven't had any complaints yet. Of course, I'm not getting a lot of viewers either, but I haven't had any complaints. Okay, cleaning that brush off, and we're going into the CColor Cosmetics side, and I'm picking the darkest brown shade right here. And again, there's no name on it, so we'll tap that on, and then we'll stipple a little. Color looks slightly more warmer, more of a reddish brown. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can definitely see this color over here looks slightly warmer than that one. Has more of a gray, taupey, cooler undertone. I'm not really quite sure yet which one I like more because frankly, I don't have a ton of experience with the Alter Ego palettes. I think I have every single CColor Cosmetics palette made, and on the Alter Ego ones, if they were dupes for ones that I already had on the CColor Cosmetics side, I didn't buy them except for this one. I think these are the only ones. I know that there's several that I have that are kind of dupes for different things, but I try not to buy dupes of dupes if I can help it. So I'm gonna go ahead and buff this one out here a little bit more. And if you've watched any of my other videos, I do try to do a lot of buffing just to make those colors blend a little bit more seamlessly. And even though I didn't go into any color and it doesn't appear to be colored, I'm just going to still clean that off just a little bit before I go buff the top edge over here. Okay, so as I was saying, I really love the CColor Cosmetics formulas. And I'm really loving the Alter Ego darker brown color. So far, very similar. The CColor one almost looks a little patchy, which is unusual. I'm gonna go back into it again with that clean brush, kind of build up a little bit more and see if I can't overcome some of that patchiness. And as I build up that color a little bit, I feel like I need to go back in on the other side. So I'm cleaning off the brush again. So far, so good on the layering, the buildability of both of them. Back on the Alter Ego side, the color I'm going, so the last color was called After Hours. I started with Uptown, I went to After Hours. Now I'm gonna do the color Blush, this kind of pinky corally color right here. Seems like it's a really pretty color, but I'm going to put that in just a little bit further because I kind of want to warm up my eyelids. I'm not going to go in any further than like the center of my eyeball, and when you're looking straight ahead, I'm going to try not to go any further close to the center than that because I just kind of want to do a soft whisper of a color. And I want to give myself enough room to put in a shimmer and brighten up my eyes a little bit. So I'm just kind of blending that just a little bit into that darker color, and it's almost too washed out, so I'm going to go in with a little bit more. Cleaning off the brush again. And going in on the CColor Cosmetics side, it's the blush comparable color, but again there's no name on it, so it's fine with me. Tapping it, dusting it off a little bit, and then patting right onto the lid, the outer half of my lid if I'm going up from the center of my pupil, and blending it into that darker shade that I used. Again, the dupe for the After Hours, or the purported dupe for the After Hours. Okay, so my thoughts so far, the pink, I think, blended in a little bit more naturally with the warmer brown that was in the CColor Cosmetics side, and the blush color on the Alter Ego side, maybe not quite as much. But I'm going to put a little bit more on. I just clean my brush off again. I'm going to put a little bit more in over here, up against my lash line, and then just sort of blending it up a little bit. So far, when I look at it in the mirror, I'm not noticing a huge amount of difference. Like, I don't think my husband's going to come home and he's going to say, did you use two different palettes, or do you have two different color eyeshadows on? I just don't think he's going to. I want to go lighter on my eyelids because I want to look more awake. So I'm going to use, on the Alter Ego side, it's called Champagne. And I am going to use my finger. I'm going to make sure it's all kind of wiped off and it's clean. I haven't done my nails in a long time, so sorry. I'm going to tap it on my lid. And I'm going to go almost all the way into that center the inner tear duct, and I'm going to bump it up against that corally pinky color, kind of overlap just a little bit because I want them to kind of blend in together. And I don't go any higher than my crease on that, but I am going to have to go into a relatively clean brush. This was, I think, the blending brush that I used before, so it looks like it's all clean, and I'm just blending that right up against the pink and up against my crease. I like that light that is on that lid. It gives a little bit more lift. Makes my eyes not look quite so small and beady and, you know, stuff. Okay, so I'm going to use the same comparable color and the CColor Cosmetics palette. There's no names, but it's a dupe for the, or it's the one that's closest to the champagne in the Alter Ego palette. And I think this color seems to pack a little bit more of a punch to it. So the CColor one seems to be slightly more pigmented. I actually like it a little bit better. Wiping my finger off, I'm going to go back in on the Alter Ego side, that same champagne color. Let's see if I can't build it up just a little bit more. It doesn't seem as vibrant to me. Okay, now it seems to be a little bit more, get my blending brush here, a little bit more comparable. And brush over here. Not seeing a ton of crazy difference. Okay, I am going to go back into the Alter Ego palette, and I'm going to use this color Seduction right here. And I'm going to take a little tiny brush. And we're going to go into that inner tear duct just to brighten it up ever so slightly. I sometimes like to bring it up and kind of marry it with that shimmer that I use to brighten up my eye a little bit. And then so we don't notice the start and stop, I kind of brush it a little bit underneath as well. And we're going to use the CColor Cosmetics. Again, my brush is cleaned off. And we're going to go into that, it was called on the Alter Ego palette, it was called Seduction. No name on the CColor Cosmetics one, but it's this one down here on the bottom. Let me get my camera to focus. There we go. This one down here. It does look like this color has just the ever slightest kind of peachy undertone to it in the pan. And again, kind of bringing it into the inner tear duct and then just a little bit up on the top and bottom lash line. I feel like the one in the Alter Ego palette was maybe a little bit more iridescent, and the one on the CColor Cosmetics side was a little bit more, not necessarily call it matte, but it was more of a satin. I think I need to do a little bit up on my brow bone, so I'm going to go in on the Alter Ego side under Temptress and use Lace, this one right here, and we're just going to grab another brush, and we're just going to buff a little bit on that very top brow bone, right underneath the brow. Just make that look a little bit more clean. Now, I try really hard not to bring light colors down too far onto my eyelid space, because I do have this hooded eyelid, and if I go a lighter color there, it really makes it more pronounced and almost swollen looking. And what I try to do is put color to make them recede a little bit so that I don't look too heavy lidded. Cleaning it off again. And going into the CColor Cosmetics side under Feverish, we're going to pick up that kind of bone color here. It should be this one right here. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Now on the Alter Ego side, that shade really did seem to not come up right away. And using the same brush on the CColor Cosmetics side, it seems to be more loosely packed here. Feel like on this side, like maybe it's not quite as high, but just this little tiny bit. So I'm going to go back in that darker brown color. It's super close, but I just want to make sure. So I'm just going to adjust the little tiniest bit on there. And I brought it up a little bit, and then I want to go back into that taupe color. So right here. And I'm just grabbing a little tiny bit of the fallout and I'm buffing it along that top edge of the darker color and then blending it into the rest of my transition shade. Actually, you know what I want to do? I want to take this and just kind of buff it out a little bit. Sometimes they blend well, sometimes you can buff up the color a little bit. Clean that off again. And just making little tiny circles to buff out that outer seam. And then maybe kind of bring it up just ever so slightly. Okay, when I look in the mirror, the top lids look pretty similar. Let me grab a little brush here, and I might as well just use the darkest black color. So it'll be Stiletto on the Alter Ego Temptress side. And I am going to do a little bit kind of buffed into my eyeline, my eyelash line on the bottom, and then we'll kind of buff that out a little bit because I don't like a really harsh line there. And right up against my top lash line, but just on the outer corner, because I don't want to take up lid space where I start getting lighter, because then it'll just make your eyes look more hooded or more heavy. You'll lose some of that lid space, and then your eyes will look smaller. So at least that's what I noticed on mine. And I just bring it up, just kind of a little bit of a flick out here, and cleaning this off a little again, and going back into the Feverish palette, again using that darkest color, named Stiletto on the Temptress side, but no name on the CColor Cosmetics side. So again, into the lash line. And just kind of scribbling it in there, 2/3 to 3/4 of the way along my lower lash line. And dipping back into it again and going along my upper lash line. Kind of just tapping it in, getting as close to the lash line as possible, not going too far in. And then bringing just a little tiny bit of a lift up, connect to the bottom. Now I'm going to take one more clean brush and I'm just going to kind of buff out that lower line because I don't like a super harsh line. Get it off here again. And I feel like what it needs is that coral color on the bottom too. So I'm going to take the same brush that I used to buff out that black, and I'm going to go right over the top of it with this color called Blush on the Alter Ego side. And I'm going right over the top of it and just a little bit further down just to kind of soften up that color a little bit. And we're going to do the same thing after I clean the brush on the CColor Cosmetics Feverish side. Again, this blush color, and get a little on there, tap off the excess, and just go over the top. Now, I do wear contacts, and sometimes I get a little color kick up into the contacts. About done with the color. I'm gonna put some mascara on. I'll be right back. All right, you guys, all back with mascara on, and I think the looks actually turned out pretty well. A little bit about this palette again. It's supposed to be, both of these are supposed to be dupes for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette. I don't have the ABH palette, so I don't know which one of them is an exact dupe. I'm torn on which one is my favorite. On one hand, the Temptress palette, I really did like the After Hours in here better because it was a little cooler, and I actually liked the fact that this color story, other than maybe the lust color, but most of the other colors in here were actually very cool toned, cool neutral, as opposed to a warm neutral. On the CColor Cosmetics side, the darker brown had a little bit more of a reddish undertone to it, a warmer tone to it, and I think in general this palette looks like it might be slightly warmer tinged. The pigment was greater in both the shimmers and the mattes on the CColor Cosmetics side. So jury's out, you guys. I don't have a definitive of which one I like more. Let me tell you about the price on either of those, though. So the CColor Cosmetics, which I believe you can still get those. Price for Feverish is $7. You do get free shipping for domestic orders over $25. I have attempted to get a referral code for you guys, and they apparently don't do referral codes, and you have to have, you know, a whole bunch of subscribers and views and stuff like that before they give you an affiliate code. I don't even care about getting an affiliate code. I just want to be able to save you guys some money. And again, $7 is super cheap to begin with. So now I'm going over, that was on the CColor Cosmetics website. I do know you can get some CColor Cosmetics palettes on Amazon. I did not look to see what they have on there, but I haven't had any problems with CColor Cosmetics showing up when they're supposed to and being well packaged. I've not gotten one that's broken. And on the Alter Ego website, which is shopalterego.com, Temptress palette is $16. So on one hand, you've got $7. On one hand, you've got $16. I did like the darker brown in this one better, but I like the overall payoff in this one. I think I could have probably blended the brown with maybe this kind of grayish color and gotten a similar shade to the one that I got in the Alter Ego. Price alone, I would say do the CColor Cosmetics one, and while you're there, buy a couple more palettes and get your free shipping. Do I think that you could get 3 looks out of either one of these palettes? Yeah. I think that both of these palettes are perfect spring, perfect transition into summer. I think you can get a work look very easily. I think you can get a fun look without being too crazy. So if you're someone who doesn't go with the crazy bold colors, like you're not going to be going into blue sky and creating crazy looks with all these blue and green and aqua colors, and instead you want something neutral and easy, and you can take 2, maybe 3 colors and get a complete eye look. This gives you a lot of options on those warm days. If you guys are familiar with either brand, I'd love it if you left me a comment down below. Kind of the point of this experiment, I wanted to see if one of them was drastically different than the other, and I think that aside from just maybe a couple of the shades, they're a pretty good dupe. I like it. I think this is an easy one to travel with. Both of these I think would make a fantastic gift to somebody. That's all on my little video for right now. I'm not taking the time to do 3 complete looks on this one because 3 looks with 2 different palettes in the same video would be ridiculously long. If you guys do want me to come back and do 3 looks with one of these palettes, tell me which one you prefer, the Alter Ego Temptress palette or the CColor Cosmetics Feverish palette. We're just gonna keep moving along. I hope you like the little change in format. It's a little bit different than the other one. I gotta tell you, doing makeup today actually kind of changed my mood a little bit because I was pretty heated earlier. So I had a boss once ask me if it was worth getting fired over this one client. Is it worth losing your job over? And it made me think of the situation that happened that I'm a little bit heated about, annoyed with, excessively annoyed with. Just because you're bored, just because you don't want to be home anymore, just because you think it's not going to affect you. Would you risk having your loved one ending up on a ventilator, suffocating to death in a hospital by themselves? This is serious. And some people are still not taking it very seriously. I hope you're all doing well. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. Please ring the bell. And I've got other things to talk about that's not me being annoyed. And I've got other makeup to try. I hope this video wasn't too long. I'm gonna try to get it edited and get it set up for Friday. So if this is getting up on Friday, then I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And just know that I'm thinking about you guys. And until my next video, bye for now.